This is the news on top of the hour.
Live from our studio in Georgetown.
Kaieteur Radio, 99.1 FM.
Good day, welcome to your news at noon on Kaieteur Radio for Monday, June 27th, 2022. I'm Kevin Smith, and making top story today, Exxon contract silent on whether royalty is recoverable, but clearly states what can or cannot be deducted. Wedding gone wild after 20 years on the run, man who killed wife captured while marrying another. Chemical spill reported at Exxon Stabroek Block operations. Minister Vikram Bharat says EPA dealt with the matter. Guyanese killed by Venezuelans during street brawl, and contract with Exxon makes a mockery of our constitution, according to Yog Mahadio. And missing bartender found dead. Police say red marks seen around her neck. Stay tuned to stay informed.
Go loud or go home. Never miss out on your favorite local radio segments, local and international podcasts, and DJ mixes.
That's right.
With the Go Loud app. Discover podcasts like Common Sense, Red Table Talk, The Breakfast Club, and the best mixes from DJs worldwide, and much more. Stream all of your favorite local radio stations in one app. Go loud on what matters to you. Download the Go Loud app in the App or Play Store today and start listening.
And now for the news in detail. The production sharing agreement that Guyana signed with ESSO and their partners for the Stabroek Block, Hess Guyana Exploration Limited, is very specific on cost recovery. Under the terms of the PSA signed in 2016, up to 75% of the gross production of crude oil can be deducted as cost oil for expenses. In that PSA, there are essentially two categories: spending that can be recovered by the contractor without the approval of the minister, instances where deduction can be made subject to the approval of the minister. A third category exists, however, where there are very specific exceptions, where there is no recovery whatsoever, such as provided for under Article 3 of the PSA, which demands a guarantee to be paid over to the state shortly after signing. Another specific spending that has been blocked for deduction out of oil, such as penalties to be imposed on the company by a Guyana court, or the costs related to arbitration. Other specific spending that has been explicitly spelled out as not for recovery is that of costs incurred as a result of negligence on the part of the oil operator. Meanwhile, guests on a Saturday night were stunned when police barged into a wedding party and arrested the bridegroom, who was on the run for 20 years for allegedly killing his wife. The wanted suspect, identified as 51-year-old Kaieteur Jerome Fernandez, was captured by police while marrying another woman at Onderneming Sand Pit area on the Escobar coast. Fernandez had allegedly almost severed the neck of his first wife, Roshini Suklal, with a knife on January 25, 2002, in the Diamond East Bank Demerara squatting community. Suklal was only 22 years old when she was brutally murdered. Fernandez is currently in police custody at the Ana Regina police station. And moving on, approximately 925 gallons of chemical asphaltene inhibitor is said to have spilled during its supply to one of the floating production, storage and offloading vessels involved in the oil production in the offshore Stabroek Block. According to information, of the 925 gallons, approximately 18.5 barrels of the chemical was being delivered from a supply boat when a leakage seemed to have occurred. Minister of Natural Resources Vikram Bharat said that this spill would have occurred a few months ago. He had committed to getting information about this spill and later confirmed that it had happened months ago, that there is no recent one, and that what is now being reported might be from what occurred previously now making the rounds. However, checks have been provided Checks have provided no reports highlighting such an occurrence in recent months. Minister Barrett reiterated, however, that he would have checked around and confirmed that the matter is not recent. And I'll just tell you, 34-year-old Linsford Kenwyn Dugard was on Sunday morning killed allegedly by 3 Venezuelan nationals during a brawl. According to police, the incident occurred between 3 hours and 3 hours 45 at the Kindred Housing Scheme, West Coast Demerara. It was stated that about 22 hours on Saturday, June 25th, Dugard visited the location and asked for 22-year-old Jessica Ortiz, a female Venezuelan national who lives in the Kindred. One of the women was reportedly armed with a knife, which she used to stab Dugard to his leg, while a male Venezuelan was holding Dugard around his neck. According to police, the man then armed himself with a cutlass and dealt Dugard several chops about his body. The suspects then used the rope and tied Dugard's legs and left him in the drain. Checks were made for the male suspect at his residence in the Kindred, but he was not located. The time has now moved on to 12 hours 7 in Guyana. We'll take a short break and return with your news.
This is GHK Lal inviting you to join me weekdays from Monday to Friday on the National Outlook for commentary on a range of issues. Immediately after the 12 noon and 7 p.m. newscasts on Kaieteur Radio at 99.1 FM and 99.5 FM. Looking forward to you sharing in the conversation.
Guyana. Join me on the Glenn Lal Show every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 7:20 p.m. and a rebroadcast at 11 a.m. The Glenn Lal Show only on Kaieteur Radio, 99.1 and 99.5 FM.
Welcome back. Let's continue with the news. The search for 19-year-old mother of one, Anissa Miguel, who went missing on June 17th last, came to a tragic end on Sunday after a Brazilian miner spotted her remains floating in the Mazaruni River. Her decomposing body was located around 10 hours 30, some 4 miles away from Martin's Landing, the place where she was last seen alive, and bore a red mark around the neck, police have confirmed. The miner had contacted police and ranks headed to the area known as Baboon Island, Middle Mazaruni. They reported that the remains were afloat in a face-down position and clad in a pair of blue jeans and a pink top. She had no footwear on and there was a red mark around her neck, leading detectives to suspect that there could be some foul play involved. And in other news, the production sharing agreement that the government signed with ExxonMobil is a mockery to the country's constitution as it attempts to shackle this country into more unfair provisions or benefits for the petroleum companies operating in the Stabroek Block. This is the view of Dr. Yog Mahadio, a transparency advocate and co-founder of the civil society body, Article 13. He gave this conclusion in an invited comment yesterday, while citing the necessity for the contract to be renegotiated. As such, Mahadio noted that the contract is not only lopsided due to the unfair benefits to the people of Guyana, but also due to the terms outlined that seek to block the passage of new laws that can affect the company's profits. Meanwhile, Minister of Parliamentary Affairs and Governance Gail Teixeira has reiterated that there is still no time frame set for the swearing of members for the Public Procurement Commission, even as she advised that members of the public with procurement issues report their complaints to the relevant agencies. The minister was answering questions from reporters following the opening of the ministry's anti-corruption framework workshop held at the Grand Coastal last Saturday, when she said that the PPC would be activated as soon as it is possible for the president. And back to Article 13, it has congratulated President Irfan Ali for taking what they called a bold step towards the establishment of a commission of inquiry into the contentious 2020 elections. The body's comments come just weeks after the civil society group had signaled its intention to lobby the diplomatic community to get the government interested in such a probe. In the meantime, the group said it awaited the terms of reference and other details of the Commission of Inquiry. Meanwhile, the International Energy Agency World Energy Outlook 2020 had projected that the world's best solar power schemes offer the cheapest electricity in history, being 20 to 50% cheaper than coal and gas. The IEA had stated that every year from 2020, there will be record-breaking additions of new solar capacity. In fact, the agency's remarks are being proven as recently the world has been pushing to transition towards renewable energy. In fact, taking its lead from Germany, the EU has signaled its intention to embrace renewable energy much faster than was planned, a direct result of the war being waged between Russia and Ukraine. And now for the page 7 of today's Kaieteur News, dedicated to, of course, being blunt. Let the protests continue. Last week, we witnessed several protest actions by citizens for various causes. Among these issues were the lopsided oil contract with ExxonMobil, the scandalous revelations in the Vice News interview that ensnared Vice President Bharat Jagdeo, and the gunning down of Quindon Bacchus by police some weeks ago at Hazelton. We expect these protests to continue this week and perhaps with greater fervor. We at Kaieteur are in full support of citizens standing up for their rights and fighting injustices in our society. For too long, we have been silent while allowing our leaders to run roughshod over us. Let the protests continue. And that brings us to the end of today's News at Noon. I'm Kevin Smith. Thank you for listening.
Want value for your advertising dollar? Then place your ads on Kaieteur Radio's newscasts. Streamed live on 6 different mediums, reaching hundreds of thousands. Advertise today and watch your dollar grow. Call us on